Hello guys, and welcome to this particular video today. Today we'll be looking at data structures. Data structure is actually very important as far as programming is concerned. All right, so we have various concepts associated with this particular topic. But the first one we'll be looking at is the arrays. That's the first one we'll be looking at. Alright. Array basically just a method in which we can store multiple items. Let me put it that way. And how do we play around with arrays? How do we work with arrays? How do we declare arrays? Alright, let's look at that. For you to create an array, you just create a variable. Let's say, for example, you want to store multiple items like a list of your friends. Okay, you say variable friends, and then you now open and close a square bracket. So everything you want to do with the array has to do with within this bracket. So now you type whatsoever data you want to type into. You can type strings, you can type integers, you can type even boolean and functions. Okay, so let's see what we have. I can do something like a list of friends. I can do something like maybe Sam, and then I separate each item with a comma. All right, since it is a string, I have to wrap it with this quotation mark. So we can have someone like Ben, and then space again. We can have maybe Dan, and so on and so forth. Okay, so one basic thing you have to know about array is that, in the case of a variable, if you want to store the name Sam, we'll just say Sam. But this particular one, we have multiple names or multiple values for that particular a variable. The question is, how do we access them? That is what we refer to as indexing in arrays. Indexing. How can we access what we are working on? Okay, let's say, for example, I want to print out the name Ben on the console. So I can do console.log. This is what I do. I will now write friends, open a square bracket, and then put the position where Ben is. What's the position you think Ben is? You are wrong. For those of you that think Ben is in position 2, index position 2, you are wrong. Okay, let's put 2 here and then go to the console to see what we have. Okay, I open my console, and then let's see whether Ben will be will be showing, because we want the guy at the index position 2 to show. Okay, all right, waiting for the console to load up. You see, it's bringing up Dan. Now let's go and check the position of Dan. You see, Dan is here, whereas your target was Ben, right? What is happening? For us to get Ben, I have to put index position 1. All right, so I save, I'll refresh. So you see, we now have Ben. What is going on? Like you might have already predicted now, in programming, index position starts from 0. So Sam is position 0, Ben is position 1, and Dan is position 3. But that does not mean that this array, the length of this array is 2, because you'll be counting 0, 1, 2, right? That's what position. The length of this array is still 3. Can we prove that? Yes, let's take this to the console and check something. Let me comment this out for now. Let's go to the console and check the differences between length. Is a common mistake by young developers. A common mistake. So let's see the length of this. So I can just say friends, which is the name of my array, dot length. So you see, we have 3. 1, 2, 3. But in terms of positioning, it is 0, 1, and 2. Alright, having established that fact, let's look at other concepts associated with arrays. Like I stated initially, you can also have arrays that comprises of only numbers. Let's say, for example, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and all those stuff. Can we actually access the number 4? Yes, for us to access the number 4, it is 0, 1, 2, 3. So I put here 3. Let's go to the console and see whether 4 will be printed. I'll refresh. So you see the number 4 is being printed because that is the position. And like I said, we can also have an array that carries functions inside. You can just say function work. Okay, like we saw. And then you begin to build the function here if you so wish. Okay, then we can also have a mixed array. What do I mean by a mixed array? Array where you have strings, you have numbers inside, you have functions, you can even have boolean inside. All right, okay. Then there is something I want to show you, which I actually want you guys to try it out. Okay, we can have arrays inside of arrays. What do I mean by that? Okay, now let's check out something. Let's say, for example, I have maybe 12 here, 4 here. Then I decide to have another array inside of this, and then inside this array I now have things like maybe 66, 32, 45. Okay, I have a comma here. Then I now have my single numbers. Okay, then I now have another array inside of this. We can now have things like 45, maybe 90, and a whole lot of them. Okay, all right. If we want to access, let's say, the number 32, how do we go about that? Please pay attention. For us to access the number 32, we say this is 0, right? This is 1. The whole of this guy is 2. This is 0. This is 1. The whole of this is treated as what? 2. Then this is now 3, 4, 5. While the whole of this is treated as what? 6. So for us to access the number 32, what do? We'll say console.log 0, 1, 2. Yeah, so we say friends position 2, right? Count again, 0, 1. The whole of this place is what? 2. Then we have another square bracket inside. In other words, go inside the position 2. There is another array there, and give us position 0 and 1. So 32 is in 0, 1. That's 1. So I put 1 here. So we should be able to have 32 on the console being printed out. Can you see it? All right. Now, assuming we have something like this, let me comment this out for now. Within this array, we now have another array. Okay, and this array we have 56, 999. Then we have another array here. We have another array here that says 777, 412. Now, this is your first exercise as far as this particular video is concerned. I want you to print out the number 412. You snap and send. Please the video will still continue. Just jot this down as your first task. You snap this code and also show us how you console.log up to the point that you were able to get 412. Okay, all right, now let's continue. Okay, let's just say we have something like maybe Collins here. Now we want to look at predefined methods, or what you refer to as functions, we can actually use with array. Now this will be easier. Let's check it out on the console, see how this works. Okay, so I refresh this and then paste. I actually copied the array down here. The first one I want to show you is what we call the pop. Okay, so I will just say friends dot pop. As you can see, I have my opening and closing bracket, then I hit enter. What does the pop does? What the pop actually carries out there is that it removes the last item being Collins. So let's check what is now in friends. So you now see friends now stop at Sam. There is no Collins again. Then another one I want to show you is the one we refer to as the shift. Okay, I actually recopied this and pasted it. The shift. How does the shift work? So you can say friends. You can say friends dot shift. You can say friends dot shift. Okay, just like the way I did the other one. Now what does the shift does? The shift removes the first item being 45. So if I check out friends now, you see friends now start from Ben. There is no 45 again. Then another one I want to show you is the one we call push. Okay, push friends. What do you think the push method will be doing? And now watch, the push will carry an argument. The push carries an argument. Okay, so I can actually type something inside. I can say something like maybe done. Okay, all right, now let's check out friends. So you see the push actually add to our array. It helps us add to our array. Okay, so you see it actually stop at Sam, but now we have what done. Then the last one I would like to discuss with you guys is the sort, friends.sort. That one sounds a bit easy, so some people can easily predict what that one will be doing. You see, this one actually sorts the array for us, kind of rearrange them perfectly well. So basically that is it for array. Then the exercise I gave to you initially, please try as much as possible to do it and submit. Then another thing under data structure I want to show you guys is the object. Object is just like an array, but just that this one now looks more like some sort of an associative array. What I mean by that is that it makes use of key value pairs. Now let's see how that works. We can have something like maybe variable person. We want to build a person. Now in an array we were using square bracket, but here we'll be using curly bracket. Okay, all right, let's check that out on the VS Code. So we can say variable person equals to a curly bracket. Now this curly bracket will begin to build it. Let's say a person will have a name. Let's say something like maybe Ben. Okay, then we also separate it with a comma. Then the person should also have maybe a last name being set to maybe Sam. The person name is Ben Sam, so we can have something like maybe age being set to age will be an integer, so I can say maybe 32 or 38 as the case may be. Then we can also have something like a boolean. Let's introduce a boolean. So we can say something like is student. That's, is this person a student of this institution? Yes or no? True. The person is what? A student. Okay. All right. Then we can also have what else should the person have? Anything you can actually think of that will help us build a person, we can actually do that. Okay, and then what again? I think we can just leave it there, so I can easily remove this. Now, once you have this sort of underlining, even the name of your file changing to red, that's syntax highlighting. It shows that something is wrong, basically, with your syntax. And I just wanted to do this intentionally so that you can get to see how you can solve challenges associating with something of this nature. Now, if you look at this particular code, it might appear okay, but it is not. Now, syntax wise, you see here is being underlined, this equality sign is being underlined. So for you to actually work with an object, we use a colon instead of equality sign. This is not PHP, where we use something close to this. Okay, so I can just remove this here. You see, that is actually gone. So whenever you have underlining like that, you see all those red signs, it shows something is wrong somewhere, and it is your responsibility to fix it wherever the challenge is from. All right. Now, after defining an object like this, just like we did for an array, the next thing will be how can we access each individual property or object inside. Okay, so let's use the console to make our job easier. So let me paste this here. Okay, we have a person, hit enter. So once I type person, let's see what we have. Person. See, we have a person object with first name, last name, age, and the student status, as the case may be. Now, assuming we want to capture Sam or access Sam, how do we do? You can say person dot L name, okay, which is last name. You see Sam is printed on the console, and then this, you can actually do that for the rest of the properties that are in there. All right, now I want to show you guys something else. In this our array now, or object rather, let's see what we have here. Let's use the console. You can actually have a function in there. Okay, you can actually have comma. We build a function inside, so we can say function like say. And then in this function, we now say function. Then function will begin to, write a code. So here, so I want to build my own function. Okay. Please, whenever you want to enter a new line, do shift and enter. All right, so that you can write whatsoever you want to write. So I can say maybe something like alert. How are you? Okay, shift and close. All right, so let's see whether we can actually call that function by saying person dot say. You see, it says how are you. Now I want you to look at this very well again. Look at it very well. What does it look like? It looks like the pop we have been using, the shift we have been using, the push that we have already used. And I told you they are called what? Method. What are methods? Methods are functions created within an object. Methods are functions created within an object like we do now. So that means the pop, the push are actually being created like by default, they are inbuilt. JavaScript has already taken care of that one. But whenever you now create a function within an object and then you use it, what you are using at that point is called a method. Okay, I know you have absorbed a whole lot of information so far, but I want you to sit down, go through the video again, practice, and then the exercise I gave in array in which you are to print 412. Please do that and submit on the community. Your assessment is already ongoing. Thank you very much for staying up to this point, as I can't wait to see you in the next video.